The cardiovascular or circulatory system consists of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. Its function is to transport materials to and from cells to the outside of the body. These materials include antibodies for defense against pathogens, oxygen and sugars for energy, carbon dioxide and other waste products, vitamins, minerals, and hormones. There are two types of large blood vessels, veins and arteries. Veins always carry blood to the heart. They tend to lack oxygen, but not always. Deoxygenated blood vessels are always colored blue, so veins tend to be blue. Arteries always carry blood from the heart. Arteries lead to smaller vessels called arterioles, which lead to tiny blood vessels called capillaries. Capillaries meet cells and are the sites of material exchange. The capillaries lead to venules, and the venules lead to veins. Students often get confused by certain blood vessels because, once again, the names are based on whether blood is entering or exiting the heart. For example, fill in the blanks here for the names of the vessels that go from the heart to the lungs and back. Another example of veins that are oxygenated are the umbilical veins that send oxygen to the baby. So just make sure you don't associate all arteries with oxygen and all veins with a lack of oxygen. The leading cause of death worldwide is cardiovascular disease, which is actually a class of problems all associated with the heart, including strokes, heart attacks, and heart failure. In all cases, the heart is unable to function properly because it cannot pump enough blood to keep the body running properly. Diets high in fat, salt, and alcohol, using tobacco, and not exercising can all result in heart disease. One common cause of heart disease is arteriosclerosis, which is when a hard plaque forms on the inside of your blood vessels, making it more difficult for the heart to pump blood. Animals have two main types of circulatory systems. Most invertebrates have an open circulatory system, where hemolymph, their version of blood that has no cells in it, is pumped from the heart into the body cavity and then sucked back up into the blood vessels. This requires a lot of fluid, but the heart does not need to beat as strong. Vertebrates, annelids, and cephalopods have a closed circulatory system, where the blood does not leave the blood vessels. For vertebrates, efficiency of the circulatory system is based on the number of chambers that the heart possesses. Fish have two chambers, the atrium and the ventricle. The heart is there just to keep the blood flowing, and the oxygen-rich blood does not need to reach every part of the body. Amphibians have a three-chambered heart with two atria. The extra atrium allows oxygenated blood from the lungs to be pumped to the rest of the body under high pressure, meaning that the blood flows faster. However, blood is pumped to the lungs from the ventricle and pumped to the rest of the body from the ventricle, which means that the blood with and without oxygen mixes. This is not efficient, but amphibians don't use a lot of oxygen compared to mammals because they're ectothermic. Reptiles have a wall that separates the ventricle partially, reducing the mixing of blood, while mammals and birds have four chambers, preventing any blood mixing for maximum efficiency. Blood comes into our heart through the right atrium from a large vein called the vena cava. It goes down and out the pulmonary artery to the lungs to pick up oxygen. It then re-enters the heart through the left atrium and is pumped out the left ventricle through the aorta. We often feel the heart beating on the left side of our body simply because the left ventricle pumps the largest volume of blood. The oxygenated blood eventually reaches tiny capillaries. The tissue that the capillaries connect with will have a high concentration of carbon dioxide and a low amount of oxygen. Hemoglobin will grab the carbon dioxide and release the oxygen simply because there is more CO2 to grab compared to O2. When the blood reaches the lungs, the opposite occurs. There are a number of accessory glands that aid to circulation. The liver and kidneys filter the blood, removing waste and balancing nutrients. The intestines add nutrients, and the kidneys add oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. The bone marrow produces blood cells, of which there are three types: red, white, and platelets. Red blood cells transport oxygen, while white blood cells are immune cells. White blood cells are stored in the lymph nodes and spleen. The reason why your lymph nodes swell when you get sick is because your body is producing more white blood cells to fight the infection. Dying blood cells are recycled in the liver and spleen. Blood can come in a variety of colors depending on the pigment used to transport oxygen. It consists of plasma, a mix of water and proteins, and blood cells. The immune system consists of these white blood cells that react when the body is under attack from pathogens and parasites like bacteria and viruses that are literally trying to eat us. The most important part of the immune response is recognition of the foreign body. All pathogens have surface proteins they use to find the host cell. These are called antigens. Our immune system creates a protein called antibodies that connects to antigens and alerts the rest of the body that there is an attack. They also mark the pathogens as foreign so the body knows what to attack. You can think of the body as a castle. The skin represents the walls of the castle that prevent pathogens from entering. It is a dry environment with dead tissue and hard keratin with little nutrients for bacteria to grow. Mucous membranes line the eyes, nose, lungs, mouth, and anus to form a sticky moat that traps and kills pathogens. Our sweat and oil glands produce a layer of acids and antibiotic proteins on our skin that kill most bacteria. We also have our own mutualist bacteria living on our skin that outcompete foreign invaders. White blood cells develop into a variety of specialized cells. Mast cells are found all over the body, and they sound the alarm that the body is under attack as soon as they are damaged. When they find attached antibodies, they produce histamine, which are chemicals that cause an inflammation. White blood cells are produced causing redness, swelling, and pain. The area may become itchy because the body is telling you to try to scratch out any foreign objects or toxins. People who have allergic reactions take antihistamines to reduce inflammation caused by an overreaction to a harmless foreign object. Neutrophils are like bombs that destroy everything, including your healthy cells. They are programmed to die in 5 days. Dendritic cells act like thieves, taking antigens to the lymph nodes where the body can identify who the attacker is and how best to respond. The lymph nodes then start building an army of T cells. Killer T cells recognize and destroy cells with antibodies on them, so they are like assassins. Helper T cells are like cheerleaders that tell B cells to reproduce and tell immune cells to keep fighting until the infection is cleared. B cells are the weapon manufacturers, producing the antibodies that stick to and mark foreign substances. Memory T cells are like scientists and historians that create new antibodies and recall the battle so the body knows what to do during the next invasion. Finally, macrophages swallow and digest anything covered in antibodies. They are the cleanup crew. Pus is the collection of dead soldiers or white blood cells produced during the battle. And that is how your body goes to war. This video gives a nice illustration of how your immune system works in the case of fending off the virus that causes measles.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about measles. What does measles actually do, and should you vaccinate against it, or is this just hysteria? Measles is a virus, a hull of proteins, RNA, plus some more proteins for reproduction. It cannot reproduce by itself, it needs a host cell to do so. To understand measles, we have to understand the immune system. You might already have seen the visual system we developed to help here. Now, let's focus on the parts of the immune system relevant to measles. The measles virus enters humans through the nose, mouth, or eyes. The measles infection starts in the lungs. Measles is especially good at infecting the body's first line of defense, macrophages, powerful guard cells that protect the lungs from intruders. They enter a cell and take it over. The virus reprograms the cell and transforms it into a dangerous virus production center. Once a cell is filled with viruses, they leave the crippled cell and begin the cycle over again. But the immune system has powerful weapons against virus infections, natural killer cells. These cells basically patrol the body and check other cells for infections. If they find an infected cell, they order it to commit suicide. This is so effective that for the first 10 days or so, you will not even notice that you're infected with measles. And now, the reason why measles is so powerful. After a period of fighting and dying, macrophages alert the brain of the immune system, the dendritic cells. The job of the dendritic cells is to collect samples of intruders, travel to the lymph nodes, and then activate the heavy weapons that eradicate the infection very fast in a team effort. But the measles virus uses a dreadful tactic. It infects the dendritic cells and uses them as a Trojan horse to enter deeper into the body. The infected cells travel to the next lymph node to alert other immune cells. Once it arrives, the measles virus spreads around the virgin T and B cells and infects them. It attacks the very system that evolved to fight it. Now, things happen very fast. The lymph system spreads the virus everywhere and it enters the bloodstream, infecting cells while traveling. Measles infects organs like the spleen, the liver, the intestines, and most importantly, the lungs. The symptoms range from a very high fever, headache, sickness, bronchitis, and of course, a rash. In the lungs, the immune system was doing pretty okay, but now millions of viruses attack a second time and kill countless cells, wiping out the defense systems. In this phase, you start coughing out millions of measles viruses. Measles is so contagious at this stage that if you meet someone who isn't vaccinated, there's about a 90% chance you'll infect them. Without the protective army in the lungs, other bacteria or viruses that would usually not stand a chance can now enter the lungs and develop into harmful parallel infections that can cause pneumonia, the most common way to die from measles. Your body's immune system is now seriously wounded. Various protective systems are hurt and disrupted. The virus spreads everywhere, infecting the skin all over the body. The typical measles rash now becomes visible. And in some cases, the measles virus reaches the brain and causes a brain infection. If it does so, the chances of dying are between 20 to 40%, and there may be long-term damage. But your body is far from giving up at this stage, and it fights back aggressively. Some dendritic cells survive long enough to activate the antivirus forces of the body. Plasma cells in the lymph nodes start producing billions of antibodies, tiny proteins that mark infected cells for destruction or clump the virus together. Killer T cells flood the body and kill infected cells left and right. After 2 to 3 weeks, the body usually gets the upper hand and overwhelms the infection. But the immune system is now seriously weakened and may take weeks or months to recover, leaving the body vulnerable to other diseases. But if you make it, you are now immune. The immune system remembers the virus forever. Measles is no joke. Although 84% of all humans are vaccinated against measles, 122,000 people died because of the infection in 2014. Some people cannot get vaccinations, either because they're too young, because of chemotherapy or HIV, or because they're allergic to the vaccine. They need the rest of us to stop the disease for them. The measles vaccination is safe, cheap, and available. There are no benefits from having measles at all. You don't strengthen your immune system, and it's not more natural. Most people who don't vaccinate only want the best for their children, which is honorable. But if you ask yourself, am I putting the life of my child and other children at risk by not vaccinating against measles? The sad answer is yes. Yes, you are. Let's not play the blame game though. Let's work together and eradicate this virus. Together, we can get rid of these dreadful monsters and consign them to their rightful place, the history books.